All right, everybody, how y'all doing? So this video, I'm going to quickly walk through the syllabus for the class, our Blackboard, everything on the class, and just show you how all this stuff is going to run. All right, so there's my little welcome video. Let me pull up the syllabus now, and we will go through that. Okay. This is English 122601 Introduction to Poetry. And what I always do when I teach a literature class, I always thematize the class. And I'm calling this class Hunger Artists. And I'll go into that in a moment. There's my name, Charles Kell. You can just call me Charles. You don't need to call me doctor, professor, or anything. My email address, office, office hours. If you ever want to meet through Zoom or in person, email me and let me know. We'll set something up. So, the purpose of this course is to deepen the student's engagement with the metaphorical nature of language through understanding and enjoyment of poetry. The selection of poems focuses on what poetry means and does, what needs and desires poetry fulfills in its writers and readers, and the cultural context and conditioning that define poetry and place value on its existence. That's the CCRI description of poetry, and we'll be leaning into that. The class is distance learning, which means we will not be meeting. I'll be posting videos that walk the class through the lessons and assignments, all the poems, all that stuff. I'll be making videos on most of all the poems. It's your responsibility to watch and take notes on these videos. Even though we are not meeting, the course syllabus will structure the class based on Mondays and Wednesdays. This will help guide where you should be and when you should be completing the readings and assignments. Everything will be located on our Blackboard site. It is your job to keep up with readings, work, and basically what's going on in the class. You need to be proficient and comfortable navigating Blackboard. If at any time semester you feel lost or if you want to work on and cover additional topics, it's your job to let me know. The entire class is available on weekly sessions, so that's right there, and I will walk through that in a moment. So here's where the theme Hunger Artist comes from. Late in Franz Kafka's short story, A Hunger Artist, the supervisor asks the hunger artist why he continues to hunger, and he replies, "Because," said the hunger artist, raising his haggard head a little and whispering with puckered lips as though preparing for a kiss, directly into the supervisor's ear, so that he would not miss a word. "Because I cannot find a dish I liked. Had I found it, believe me, I would not have made a fuss, but would have eaten my fill, the same as you or anyone else." Those were his last words, but the broken look in his eyes bespoke the firm, albeit chastened conviction that he was still hungering. So here's how I'm looking at we're going to read these poems. What does it mean to hunger, to be hungry? You have the literal physical connotations like I'm hungry, I missed lunch, right? But think of the other ways too. In what ways do we hunger? How are poets hungry or hungering? How are the poets on our syllabus hungry? What are we hungering for when we make the difficult decision to read poems or to read and write anything at all? Think about emotional hunger, you know, philosophical hunger, intellectual hunger. Why do we want to read poetry? The hunger of art. And I look at reading. I think I'm always argued that we're always reading. Reading is an always ongoing process where we encounter others, the world, and ourselves. Reading literature and poetry is to encounter alterity. Alterity is one of those big $30 philosophy words, but it basically means difference in all its guises. Think of race, gender, economics, sex, education, age, ability, etc., etc. It's all types of differences or otherness, that which is different. Through different literature, we engage, encounter, and brush up against various alterities, which could enable us to see how others live, and in some ways give us a sense of how we live. Other questions I want us to think about: what does poetry do? What is poetry? What do you want from poetry? In this course, we will examine these questions as well as concentrate on reading a diverse body of poems. It is important, I will argue necessary, to embrace ambiguity, difficulty, the fact that poems, poetry, and great literature have no easy answers. So think of those as jumping off points. Here's the learning outcomes for the class: display of working knowledge of poetry as a literary genre, identify and describe distinct characteristics of poetic forms, analyze poetic works for their structure and meaning using correct terminology, write analytically about poetry using MLA guidelines, effectively communicate ideas related to their poetic works in our class. So we'll have accomplished these things. I will provide all the readings through Blackboard. I provide all the readings, and I'll show you that in a moment as well. Okay, on the robot, AI, the robot chatbot, please don't use the robot to write your papers. You may down the road in another course have AI assisted work. We're not doing that in this class. I want you to construct all your work on your own. All right. Uh, so that's that. My policies, and a lot of this pertains to in-person classes, but a few quick notes. Note on email and professionalism. This class is online, but let's be cognizant of emailing. If you have content questions, like if you're stuck on the work, if you're struggling, email me and we will work it out. Don't email me and ask when like something's due or how much it's worth. All that's located on Blackboard. Go to Blackboard for the answer first and then email me. Please read everything carefully. Emails, assignments, syllabus. All this other stuff is mainly for in-person class. All right. All right. So here's the big money. What you're concerned about, the grading policy. I always base my classes off of 1,000 points. Therefore, you finish with 940 points, you have 94%, right? So here's how the class is broken down. Attendance and participation. Obviously, we're not meeting in person, but basically, if you turn your work in on time, you'll get these points, okay? We have 10 discussion boards worth 35 points each. That's a big chunk of the class. And you have this video here where I walk through the discussion boards and have the discussion board handout. So that's the video there for that. 3 papers, that's it. 3 short papers. And I have videos right here. If you look at assignments, if you go to assignments, there's paper 1. I'm going to be uploading paper 2 soon, and then paper 3. So those will be uploaded, but here's a video on paper 1. There's going to be a video on paper 2. We're not there yet, but I'm going to be uploading that. And you click on the paper 1, look at the handout, upload your file, and submit your file. That's all you do for that. So that's the class. 10 discussion boards and 3 papers. I already have a number of the discussion boards up there, so if you click on discussion boards, so the first one's due Monday, September 8th. So just answer these questions. That video walks you through them in detail, though. All right? That's the grade breakdown. I like to keep it really nice and streamlined. I don't like a lot of busy work. 10 discussion boards, 3 papers. My goal, I want you to get an A in this class. The grades will be available on your papers with detailed comments. If you don't get the grade you like, you can revise and turn back in. Work that is a week late, however, will receive no credit. So, yeah. So, you have a week, a grace period, give or take. So please, work that's a week late, receive no credit. So in the past, I've had students who didn't do anything all semester and try to do everything in the last few days, and we're not doing that. So work that's a week late is no credit. There's the GPA grade breakdown. If you need accommodations, contact the DSS. Here's kind of some themes that we're going to look at. Structure of our class. We'll look at poems on family, desire, social, society, war, identity, deviancy, experimentation. We will have a section on ekphrastic poetry. We'll span contemporary works to mid-20th century and even earlier. We will read different poems by different people. So here's our first class, which I have it. We're starting tomorrow based on my schedule. Look at the syllabus. Look at the introduction. I want you to read Cole's Oil and Steel, Chiffon Morning, and Bloom's The Art of Reading Poetry. So read those, and then I have the breakdown here, right? Whatever is here, T.S. Eliot, another essay, Hart Crane, C.D. Wright, Lynn Emanuel, there's paper 1 handout. But you see how the schedule has this here. If you go to Blackboard, weekly sessions, week 1, I have the first 6 weeks. I'm gonna be uploading the rest shortly. So there's Henri Cole, Oil and Steel, Henri Cole, Chiffon Morning. There's an old video of me reading Oil and Steel and talking about it. Harold Bloom. There's a video on Harold Bloom, The Art of Reading Poetry. Week 2. T.S. Eliot, Hart Crane. So I have videos on most of all the poets and poems. Yeah, that's the class there. And you see we go on. There's week 3. There's the paper 1 video, paper 1 handout, C.D. Wright. I have video on C.D. Wright, video on Lynn Emanuel, frying trout while drunk, video on Don Revelle. So that's just basically it, how the class is broken down. And I will be uploading the rest of the week soon. So yeah, there's the class really. Pretty self-explanatory. Again, if anyone has any questions, email me. So here's a section on poetic stuff, poetic terms and devices. If you want to look at all this extra stuff here. Poetry, essays, and notes. These are just supplemental stuff here. A whole section on ekphrastic poetry. I'm going to upload that, which is poetry written about artwork. And yeah, so that's the class. Look at the syllabus. All of our readings are on weekly sessions. You'll be turning in your first discussion board through this discussion board here. And that video walks you through how to do that. And yeah, so that's the class. Please let me know if you have any questions, concerns, comments, complaints. If you're struggling with anything, please reach out to me. And, this is an online class. You don't want to fall behind. So if there's at any moment you have questions, email me and we'll work it out. All right, everybody. Good luck on the semester and have fun.